Before we start, one thing almost every narcissist video skips. The word narcissist gets used so loosely that it's lost most of its clinical meaning. Someone who posts too many selfies isn't a narcissist. Someone who had a bad week and acted selfishly isn't a narcissist. Narcissistic personality disorder is a specific clinical diagnosis requiring at least 5 of 9 criteria, present consistently across all areas of life, not just in one relationship or one rough period. That distinction matters, because misidentifying someone as a narcissist is just as harmful as missing it entirely. With that said, here are all 9 behaviors the DSM-5 actually defines, mapped out completely, with what each one looks like in practice. Grandiosity. Grandiosity isn't simply high confidence. Confidence is calibrated to actual achievement. It shifts when evidence shifts. Grandiosity doesn't. Someone with this trait expects superior treatment regardless of whether they've earned it in a given situation, consistently overstates their contributions, and genuinely cannot understand why others don't immediately recognize what they see as obvious superiority. The key signal is the gap between self-perception and reality that stays fixed even when directly contradicted by evidence. Preoccupation with fantasies of success. This goes beyond ambition. Most ambitious people want to achieve things and act toward achieving them. This criterion describes someone consumed by elaborate, ongoing fantasies of unlimited success, power, brilliance, or ideal love that function as a substitute for real engagement rather than a driver of it. The fantasies are vivid and persistent, and criticism of them lands as an attack on identity rather than a difference of opinion. Belief in being special. This isn't feeling good about yourself. It's a conviction that you are fundamentally different from ordinary people and should only associate with, or be understood by, other high-status or special people. This belief isn't earned by achievement. It precedes achievement, and it doesn't diminish when achievement is absent. It also means that anyone perceived as ordinary is automatically devalued, not just different. Need for excessive admiration. Most people enjoy being appreciated. This criterion describes a need that functions like a fuel tank that drains constantly. The approval received is never quite enough, never lasts long enough, and needs to be continuously topped up. Someone operating under this criterion will organize their environment, their relationships, and their conversations around extracting admiration, and react with disproportionate hurt or anger when it doesn't arrive on schedule. Sense of entitlement. Entitlement here means a consistent expectation that rules, considerations, and accommodations that apply to everyone else simply don't apply to them. Not because they've negotiated an exception, but because compliance with ordinary rules feels inherently beneath them. This shows up in small ways: skipping cues, expecting immediate responses, assuming priority, and in large ones. And it's almost invisible to the person doing it, because it genuinely feels like the natural order of things. Interpersonal exploitation. This criterion describes using other people as instruments for one's own goals without real concern for their well-being. It doesn't require malice. The exploitation often happens without conscious awareness, because the other person's internal experience simply doesn't register as something that requires weight in the calculation. What makes it a pattern rather than an isolated incident is its consistency. Other people are evaluated primarily for what they can provide, and their value shifts accordingly. Lack of empathy. This is the most clinically central criterion of the 9, and the most misunderstood. It doesn't mean feeling no emotions. People with NPD often feel things intensely. It means an impaired ability to recognize, understand, or factor in the emotional experience of others, particularly when that experience might place a demand on them. The signal isn't coldness. It's a consistent failure to notice that other people have an inner life that deserves consideration, except in situations where that inner life directly benefits them. Envy. The envy described here is specific, either a persistent sense that others have things they don't deserve, or a defensive assumption that others must envy them. Both are expressions of the same unstable self-esteem underneath the grandiosity. When someone else achieves something, it doesn't register as inspiring or neutral. It registers as a threat to their own relative position, which requires either dismissing the achievement or attributing the success to luck, unfairness, or factors that don't reflect real merit. Arrogant, haughty behaviors. This is the behavioral expression of the underlying beliefs. It shows up in how someone talks to people in service roles, how they respond to disagreement, how they enter a room, and how they exit a conversation that isn't going their way. It's not necessarily loud or obvious. It can be quiet, measured, and polite on the surface, while still carrying an unmistakable current of condescension underneath. 9 criteria. 5 required for a clinical diagnosis. None of them alone makes someone a narcissist, and none of them alone means someone isn't one either. The pattern is what matters. Consistent, pervasive, present across relationships and contexts, not situational. If you're watching this because someone in your life came to mind, that instinct might be worth exploring with a professional. Not to get them a label, but to get yourself clarity on what you're actually dealing with. Subscribe for the next full picture.